Hi, all. This is Nish from Professional Visa and Education Services, immigration lawyer. I'm here to give you guys a quick synopsis around the budget happened last night in Australia, mainly in relation to migration and immigration planning framework that has been delivered in Parliament yesterday. The first cabinet rank, I've already mentioned in my previous video, there's no changes on the 185,000 places for permanent residency number. So, which means there's no adjustment. It seems to be the similar numbers followed by last year. So that's a known fact. The other known fact is also 70% of that numbers will be allocated for the skilled migrants. That also means general skilled migration visa, employer sponsorship visas, and 30% will be for family stream, which is more like a partner visa, parents visa, and things like that. 129,000 numbers has been allocated for onshore applicants. This is the major win. So those ones who are already in Australia and have done the skill assessment, or they are supporting the workforce in Australia, the skilled migrants who are waiting for invitations or who are waiting for the nomination from the employer. This is a good news. This year seems to be the year for people who are already onshore. The philosophy is if the permanent residency is given to the people who are already onshore, that skill shortage, the skill demand will be fulfilled relatively faster, as opposed to allocating those numbers to the offshore applicants, which means the processing time is much longer. And for Australia to receive that skilled migrant, it's going to take some time. So therefore, the focus has been predominantly around onshore applicants who are already living in Australia. This is a great thing. Now, we still need to look at the points test system. As I mentioned in my previous video as well, Grattan Institute has already made recommendation, I think a few years ago. We think that the Grattan Institute recommendation will be implemented fairly soon, potentially post 1st of July. And the changes is more around age bracket and then higher skilled workers, meaning someone who's got the higher experience in the field, more educated migrants, meaning someone who has done PhD or specialized qualification, things like that. And also it'll be around skill, experience, age, the English, things like that. So these things are quite clear, like in Grattan Institute recommendation letter. So what I would suggest you guys do is just Google it, have a look through this Grattan Institute recommendations, and there are area that you get significant points, mainly around your age, qualification, English. Have a look through that and start working on that one from now on. Because the thing is that these are the natural process that's going to take in place very soon. So post July, we still have to receive that particular policies and guidelines and regulation changes around the budget, but you can already preempt what's coming your way. So my recommendations around the points system is familiarize yourself with the recommendations made by the Grattan Institute and start implementing that in your day-to-day life. The few other things that are still very vague and very broad, only the time will tell. Again, a budget is not about policy changes, or it's not about the Department of Home Affairs making immediate changes, but these are the framework that the country will be working moving forward. So the other few points I wanted to talk about is there has been extra funding towards the skill assessing bodies, and certain occupation lists will be prioritized. For example, electricians and plumbers. The processing time will be faster, and they are also looking at changing certain policies and requirements to make it easier, more efficient for the potential migrants to conduct this skill assessment and be able to work in the relevant field. The program year seems to be more focused on onshore students, as I said, onshore international people who's holding a temporary visas. Now, skill assessing body will also have some major play in next financial year. So if you haven't done your skill assessment in your nominated occupation, I would suggest you do it now before a lot of rules are going to change very soon. So skill assessment body might be more tighter. Skill assessment body there are certain area would be more tighter, but then certain area might be more relaxed. For example, qualification things that the budget is talking about, things like that. So government has really introduced some deduction or tighter control on the work and holiday makers, meaning the more numbers has been given to the general skilled migration visas and skill visas as opposed to the work and holiday visas. Now, new migration law measures will be expanded for visa refusal and cancellation power relating to anti-Semitisms, hate behaviors, violent extremists and stuff like that. There will be more tightened rules around this, just so that the tolerance level for Department of Home Affairs to cancel a visa under the general power will be much more broader, meaning they have more power to cancel the visa application based on all the topics that I just mentioned earlier. There will be some funding will be allocated for skilled migration commissioner, which means this funding will be used to enhance and keep modifying the general skill migration side of things. So what I can tell, looking at the budget from last night, is there are a raft of changes coming in general skill migration space. I don't see a lot of changes coming into employer sponsorship visa side of things. I don't see a lot of changes in the family stream side of things, but I do anticipate a lot of changes coming in general skill migration visas. The points test system will change. And also, there will be allocated migration or skill migration commissioner making recommendations to further enhance and further modify the general skill migration visas so that it can work in a favor of Australian current economy. So again, as I said, the budget is not about a change of rules where you can anticipate the rules to be immediately changed with the immigration space. But this is the framework, this is the foundation, how the relevant party and authorities, whether that be Department of Home Affairs, skill assessing parties, how they're going to start behaving with this framework. So there are a lot of new rules and a lot of changes will probably come into play very soon. And we have seen this year out. Just because it was mentioned in the budget, that doesn't necessarily get implemented on that financial year. It also gets pushed to the next financial year. But this will give us some sort of indication like how and where the migration space is heading. Especially there has been a lot of talk in the market about the fact that the numbers will be deducted. There will be a lot of visa cancellation refusals. It's nothing around that. It's more about what funding, how the funding will be allocated to various sectors of the migration space to make it more efficient and make it more workable for Australian economy. That's what the Australia is suffering at the moment. So hopefully this video will shed some lights about what the budget is all about and where the migration industry is heading. Again, if you're looking at independent pathways, again, look at those points test system recommendations. Again, English qualifications, experience has been the hot topic. It's nothing new. It was always there. People who's got the higher English was always rewarded with the greater points. But again, I think the selection criteria when it comes to the invitation criteria, there might be some segregation of those particular migrants who has scored higher in English, who's got age in their favor and who's got their skills and qualification in their favor. There might be some segregations of those people getting the priority invitations as opposed to just the ones that is holding the greater points. So I think that's the only space that I can see there are a lot of changes coming. But apart from that, rest seems fairly normal and fairly understandable where the government's coming from when it comes to delivering the budget for migration space. Well, thanks for watching. This is Nish from Professional Visa and Education Services. If you have any questions, concern, or queries, please visit our website, provisa.com.au, and make a booking there. Just press on book now, and you see all our consultants, migration agents, lawyers in there, and you can just book with anyone for your further migration journey and planning. Thank you. Bye-bye.